Hi, it's Monty from Preserver AI, and today I wanted to give you an update for AI applications in the energy sector, energy industry from my previous video a few months ago. Lots happened in the AI space, and I want to bring you up to date and tell you what our experiences have been. We're still talking about, let me shrink myself down, we're still talking about voice agents, website chatbots, and custom automations. I'm not going to say a lot about custom automations because they're hard to scope and discuss, and there's some proprietary information. But we will talk about inbound and outbound voice agents. We'll talk about chatbots. So let me tell you about outbound voice agents to begin with. We built a number of these. We were able to contact a large list of customers. It was in the B2C space, and it was just a purchased list. And our experience with this was poor at best. We were lucky to get single-digit engagement with an outbound call agent in Australia. A lot of those calls went to voicemail because they were mobile numbers that we were contacting. And even though we followed up the voicemail with an SMS, again, the engagement was single digit. So at least, and now the government is looking at legislating outbound calling agents in Australia with do not call registers and prospecting stuff. So we're not seeing much success in that. We have talked to some people in our development team where they've done outbound call agents in the B2B space with a warm list of customers, and that has been more successful, anywhere from 15 to 17% engagement. So that's not as bad, but the key thing to remember here is you need a warm list so that they know who it is that's calling from an identifiable number, and yeah, so again, it's 17% still not a great number. Inbound call agents are interesting, and we have a number of those that we've done, and they're proving very, very successful from the point of view that the clients don't mind interacting with a voice agent, particularly when it can answer questions and solve problems for them. The challenge for us is that inbound voice agents require a lot of what's called in the AI space prompting. You've got to write prompts, which are basically question and answers, because you can't just tie a knowledge base to them. They actually have to have a series of prompts of tone and information that's being shared, and you can't just recycle PDFs, blog posts, and podcasts that you've done that's your own intellectual IP. It has to be handcrafted. We're finding that the inbound voice agents that we build when we first release them back to the client and they're using them are only about 65, about 2/3 accurate. But if we then can review the conversations and find out the more common questions, add those prompts back in, after a couple of months, we can get it up to 95%. The benefit is that the inbound voice agent is 24/7. It can be multilingual. Nothing goes to voicemail. And a lot of people think their experience is in the 70% satisfaction range. So that's quite positive. Now, what you're seeing here is my chatbot. So I've got a chatbot on my site, and I can make it small or big, and I tend to use it big because this allows a person to get right into your intellectual property in the energy sector and ask their questions, and it can be based on your knowledge base. So we take either website data and scrape it for FAQs, blog posts, podcasts about us, and create that knowledge base. So that the chatbot really has a depth of understanding and knowledge about your services, your offerings, and what you're doing. And we think that's very, very important. Chatbot costs the voice agent costs are in the mid to high hundreds, $900 or whatever once off, and a small residual fee. Chatbot costs vary based on the volume of the data that you put into the large language model. So if you have a lot of data, it can be thousands or tens of thousands. If you have just a smaller offering, it can well be under the $1,000 mark. And again, there is a residual cost for the large language model that gets paid to OpenAI or Claude or whoever you're using. So it's a very, very powerful tool. It needs to be your intellectual property. When we build chatbots, we don't allow them to access the internet because the internet often lies or provides inaccurate data. And we want it to be your intellectual property, your proprietary knowledge. This is so important. and it's a simple solution, and people find it easier than having to navigate through your navigation on your website and go into different areas and services and blog posts and hours of operation or whatever. They just can ask a question and get an answer instantaneously. The satisfaction with the chatbots is high. The chatbot can, if it has a question it doesn't answer, it can let you know that so that you can create an answer for that and add it to your knowledge base. You can ask the people to leave contact information and gather that so you can follow them up with live human beings and phone calls for qualifying leads. It's where we're seeing most of our focus now in the future in the AI spot is these chatbots. OpenAI has just released a new one that they're doing, which is speech to text to speech, where it actually lets you talk to the chatbot, and then the chatbot talks back to you, kind of like Siri or Alexa, and we'll see how that goes. But again, if you can't put a knowledge base behind it that's proprietary to your industry and your company and your services and products, we got to be careful and not let it open to the internet. Now, for the energy group, we would love to engage with you. My email address is Monte, M-O-N-T-E, @preserver.ai. If you send me an email, please provide me a URL so I can see the knowledge base that you currently have that's open to the public, and I can see how a chatbot, the scope of a chatbot can be built. Of course, anybody in this group who decides to engage us and look at that, we're offering a 10% discount on the price. So that's an incentive. And I think chatbots are the way to go in the first instance because people are now used to them. They all see the little chatbot symbol down on the bottom, or I always start with this big one. It allows me to see what questions are being answered and reviews and continue to refine the chatbot so that it becomes more and more valuable. So I hope you found this valuable. We're keen to work with you. Give us reach out to us with LinkedIn or by email address, and let's talk about working together. Thanks for your time.